So I started interviewing. My dream company was Google because it's Google. Even my grandma knows what Google is. Brought me to this. Will bring me through it. Say, my God, I was prepared away. My God, that can do immeasurably abundantly more than I can think of or imagine. I was quoting Bible verses. I said, I have such a strong faith. I'm not even joking. The compensation package, all of that, made me start to believe that, oh wow, there really is better out there. And so I was like, if I can get better more than I can imagine when it comes to finances, then think about maybe I could get better more than what I can imagine in terms of, what culture, what dynamic, like, or even just like the kind of work, the kind of stimulation I want, the kind of challenges I want.
Hello.
Welcome
to A Weak Man and the Strong God podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
It's been a good day. Sunday.
I'm tired. I feel like I always say I'm tired all the time we come here.
And then I'm guessing people will think that this guy stresses this woman out.
Maybe you are.
I don't. I literally made a whole platter of food for you yesterday. So that means that you were chilled, you were resting, You had a chilled Saturday.
Sundays are busy days. Like when you go to church, you have to volunteer. You do stuff at church.
I know.
Anyways.
So we have a guest with us today. Yay! Our very, very good friend.
Yes.
She's a celebrity of her own kind.
Stop it.
It's a privilege for us to have her here with us.
It is a privilege. Welcome, Seun.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today.
How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. I'm doing even much better after the entire feast you guys fed me. So
wow.
Yeah, I'm going to be dreaming about that.
We won't call that a feast. If you want,
it was a feast. It was a feast. I had literally. They used all the plates that they had in the house for me. That's how. So if you're trying to come on this podcast, just know, Sha, that I have number one place.
Okay.
Because of
Thanks
the way
for the
you guys
review.
treated me. Yeah.
That's good.
It was good though. It was good. You guys should do, after you're done the Weak Man and the Strong podcast, you should do cooking podcast as well.
How would that work?
I don't know.
Are there cooking podcasts? Probably.
I mean, you can start it.
Just
There's always a first time
the
for
recipe.
Exactly.
That would be very refreshing to hear.
It's like you narrate it as you're cooking.
It's
right?
like ASMR.
Yeah, it's ASMR, but then you'll be joking along. Maybe you have some Fuji music in the background.
I see ideas.
That is why she's a celebrity. We're just here to bring your.
I'm blushing.
Please bring the star. So it's honestly it's a privilege to have you here with us today, and we want to hear your story. It's something that we know is going to help others. But before we do that, we have a tradition on our podcast, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's something simple.
Okay.
It's truth or is this or that.
This or that.
Truth or that. So it's this or that. So this or that. You know how it works, right?
Yeah.
So you don't pick one of it too.
Okay. Kind of like a would you rather.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's start with something simple.
Okay.
Today you're here you're here to talk about your career. Right?
Okay.
And how God showed up in a very miraculous way.
Yep.
So we're gonna do this or that is close to that because she's a tech genius. So when you get
Texas.
yes, so please when you guys are now we are talking about geniuses, please. She's one of those.
Wow.
So we cannot just give her something like roses or lilies. We have to give her something.
Something techie.
Something techie.
Okay, all right. Am I ready for this?
You are ready.
Oh, no, it's
Okay.
simple. It's very, very simple. So, Apple or Samsung?
Whoa, you're gonna cause a divide if you answer that question.
I can only answer with what I currently use, which is Apple.
Oh no,
I cannot make any more comments,
Android,
so I
right?
choose Apple.
No, Apple or Samsung. Like
I've said Apple.
so you're telling us that Apple is better than Samsung?
I did not say that.
What are you scared of, though? Don't be scared. Apple.
Well, it's a very tough debate. I would say that in terms of, I think there's a lot of things that Samsung has done before Apple, for sure. But I also think Apple has a lot of merits. And to be fair, they're currently the only, well, I might be wrong, but at least they're the only other like popular smartphone company that solely makes their phone and also makes the OS.
Ooh.
I mean, there's Google Pixel now, but like starting from the beginning, every other phone, Samsung, they don't make their own OS. They use Android. So for that purpose alone, and they've been well, they haven't done much with the iPhone recently, but they have the new Vision Pro, which is, you know, leader in AI. And virtual reality and all these fun stuff. So I feel it's I gotta give them their flowers. Also, a lot of companies use Apple devices versus Samsung, and there's a reason for it.
Oh wow! Okay. There's that's too techy for me.
Yeah,
it's too techy.
Do you even have any Samsung device?
Oh no!
Yes, even your fridge is not Samsung.
Oh, I do have a Samsung device.
Which one?
Oh, I have a Samsung tablet.
Are you still using it? So is it for decoration?
Oh no, I use it. But that one, I took it from my mom. So
hey,
I mean, it was a gift to my mom, and she wasn't. I was like, okay, at least this might be useful to watch Netflix. I mean, that's the only thing I use it for.
Okay.
Okay. Speaking of Android or iOS, what operating system would you pick?
iOS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
iOS.
So Mac OS or Windows?
What's so?
It's not with a comparison for me anyway, Sha. It's macOS.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a programmer. Is it easy to use Mac?
100%.
Oh yeah, most programmers use Mac.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know that. I thought Windows is more compatible. It has more.
The other comparison would be like maybe Linux or Ubuntu that is better for like
still
programming.
Linux,
yeah, but yeah, Mac for sure.
Okay. So what about Apple Watch or Fitbit?
I have an Apple Watch, so yeah.
She's an Apple girl.
I think also the thing about Apple is it's kind of elitist, right? So even though I know in my head that like they're not necessarily the best in a lot of things,
true.
But just the idea that like I have the Apple ecosystem is very enticing, and it makes me feel a little bit like I've made it.
Everything you've been picking today is Apple. I picked other companies.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have two to go. Okay, this one is about programming. Java or C++? What? You're a programmer. So.
You know, it's so funny. I feel like maybe 6 years ago I would have said C++ because that was a programming language that I got the most comfortable with. I learned with C and then I moved to C++ and I was like, wow, this is such a big difference. But then Java is like, it's not even a comparison. I'll go with Java.
Okay, last one. A desktop or a laptop?
I like the experience of a desktop, but I would have to go with laptop just because it's just much more versatile. Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Wow, that is all. That was the most techy this or that we've done. And we know now that if we're getting you a gift for your birthday, for your wedding, anything, it has to be something
for a wedding.
Oh.
What Apple gift would you get someone for a wedding?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Maybe the Vision Pro for couple, for bonding sessions.
But it only works with one person unless you get
maybe two.
Yeah, wow. Don't worry. When you are big, you're big. That's why you're a celebrity.
Okay.
Anyway, so moving on. Would you just give us a little bit about yourself? We don't want to do the introduction.
Yeah.
So just what would you like people to know?
Wow, that's a very tough one.
Who is Seun?
But well, hi everyone. My name is Seun. I am a software engineer. And I currently live in Toronto, Canada. I've been in Canada for 12 years this year. And fun fact about me, this is the third country I'm living in. I grew up in Nigeria and my family moved to Ghana. So I lived in Ghana for a few years. And then I moved to Canada when I was 14. I did 1 year of high school and then I started university. And after university, I started working in Toronto. So yeah, I feel like it's flown by. But yeah, it's very, very smooth. Not too much ups and downs. So I can't complain. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
So, like our podcast says, a weak man and a strong God.
Yes.
We always like to hear stories of how God has shown up for people in their times of weakness. And we know we're going to talk a little bit about certain events that happen in your career. So can you give us a background of what happened, like how it all started and how God came through for you?
Yeah, 100%. I guess to start off, I'd share more about like my career so far. So I started off, I went to school for software engineering. I graduated from University of Waterloo, Golu. And we have to do co-ops or internships while we're in school. I did a total of 6 internships. My last internship was at a company called PagerDuty. And at the time, once my internship ended, I was lucky enough to get a return offer for full time. So I went into my last semester of school already knowing where I was going to be working at, who I was going to be working with. So it was a very stress-free semester. And so once I started working at the company, I worked there for about 4 years, and it was honestly a great time. I feel like I learned a lot. I got to work with so many different talented people. I got to just meet so many people, grow friendships that I'm still friends with outside of work to today. From that company, I got to, at the time, my friends and I were running a small non-for-profit on African development, and the company sponsors a lot of our meetups as well.
Cool.
So I really, I feel like I got the most out of it for sure. And so there was a time that came where I started thinking about potentially exploring other opportunities at different companies. And I think that's probably that's the most, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about how God has shown up for me in a very big way, because it's nothing really dramatic. Thankfully, I haven't had any big illnesses or whatever, but that was a tough decision for me, deciding where to move to and just realizing how extremely fortunate I've been. I know a lot of people who had, bad work situations, people who were affected by COVID, people before COVID who'd had like such horrific stories with their bosses, with people in their workplace, from harassment to like you name it. Like there's been, felt like I was just so aware of how fortunate I was to have a company where I know like my boss was on my side. And I struggled with the idea of leaving that company and knowing why I was leaving, but also trying to figure out, where am I going to? What my purpose is? How does my purpose align with my work? Where does God want me to be? So I feel like throughout that process, I really, really wanted direction. I'm one of those, I've always been, not a teacher's pet, but, kind of, because I like to know what to do. I don't really like ambiguity and uncertainty, and so it's like, okay, this worked out great, now where's the next one that could work out great?
Sorry, before you go on, I just wanted to highlight what you said about how she had a smooth transition from school. And when we talk about testimony, people always imagine these crazy stories of this. You don't have to always maybe I did drugs. Those are really great testimonies as well, because there are people who had that go on in their life, but not every testimony has to be things were really horrible and God then salvaged me. I think it's also a miracle when we make plans and our plans actually worked out the way we wanted it. That is a miracle.
That's a miracle.
No, 110%. I remember one of my prayers was like, I would like to have a job before I graduate, just so that like I'm not too stressed or worried. I'd had friends who had graduated. My program was 5 years, so I had a lot of people who I had started school with who were only the 4-year programs, and so by the time they graduated, I was still in my final year, and I saw the struggle to find like a full-time job, and I was like, allow me, please don't let me, God, don't let me like go through this struggle. And I felt like he answered that so smoothly because the internship I did was in San Francisco. They gave me the return offer for San Francisco. But as a Nigerian with a Nigerian passport, to get work visa for San Francisco was not going to be easy. And I also did not want to throw down all my Canadian years. I wanted to continue in the Canadian immigration system so I can get my passport eventually. And going to the States would have disrupted that. And so it was like, I know you have a small office in Toronto. Any chance that I can get, the offer for Toronto instead? Guess what? Yes, I know. So it was just, that was a miracle in and of itself.
Yeah. So that is something that so many people don't understand. Like miracles, like she said, miracles can be big, miracles can be small, and that is a very, very big miracle because miracle. It's not about getting an offer in North America. It's a work on itself. It's a miracle on itself. Getting an offer and then transferring the offer to your location,
your desired location.
That is another miracle. So God already started working for you. And do you feel indebted to that company for doing all those things for you?
110%. 110%. So while I was at the company, we went public. Not everybody has the opportunity to be at a company that goes public while you're there. So that was great. But while we were going public, I realized that the stock options they gave me with my offer was actually less than everybody else's by at least half. And what happened was they said the offer they gave me was a standard offer. So this is the offer they initially offer everybody. Now it's up to you to negotiate. Me at the time, I was feeling so graceful, so I didn't negotiate. Lesson learned.
Always negotiate your offers.
Always negotiate. And so I find out that how can you say this is a standard offer is for say 10 stocks, and then for my own standard you gave me 5? What could it possibly be? Why is my own last? I brought it to my boss, and it took a while, but in 6 months they gave me more stock, and they paid me retroactively. Because the same thing also happened to my pay. They offered me a number that was lower than what their standard offer should be. What HR says is their typical first offer for this level. Mine was also less. And I talked to other people that started around me, and they were like, that's not what they got. But theirs were all like uniform before they negotiated. And so I was like, why is it that, somebody just saw me and was like, we'll give her less than what they tell you is the standard offer. And I brought that to my boss, and they retroactively paid me for all the months that I had been paid less.
That's another tip. Always talk to your friends about your pay. Don't hide.
But not everybody wants to talk about their pay though.
But because I think that conversation is important. Like if you talk to other people, then you can know what is. Because if you're keeping it to yourself, you wouldn't know what other people are getting.
No, I'm not saying that you should not talk to your friends about your pay. I'm saying that many people
are not comfortable
talking about their pay.
Right.
Yeah. So you can't force people.
I think it's an openness thing. Like if I'm open with you, then the other person gets open.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but when you know what's out there, what's possible, it opens your mind, and you're like, oh wow, okay, I can actually, maybe this is what I'm actually worth.
Okay, so back to your story.
So 4 years passed. Actually, at the 3-year mark, I told myself, every 3 years I want to interview, make sure I update my resume, and just see what else is out there. But I was not really planning to leave companies. But by the time year 4 came around, I'd already found myself being so kind of cynical, very like complaining. There were lots of things I wasn't liking about the company. So I was like, let me go look for new jobs. So I lined up a few interviews. I had some friends refer me to a place. One of the places I wasn't even like planning to apply there, but I had a friend that worked at the same company who had just left and had been like, this is the company I'm at now. You should, I'll refer you. I think you'd like it here. So I was like, sure. And so that company is where I'm at now. It's called Stripe. The other companies I was already in the process for was Google and Cash App. So I was like, okay, there's 3 companies, good. I'll start off here because software engineering interviews are like exams. So I said, let me not come and kill myself. Let me start off with this. I need to do a lot of reading and studying just to refresh myself and update. And so I was like, okay, this is a good start. But yeah, all through the start of that process, I was very kind of negative towards my current job. I was just like, it's not stimulating me. I don't remember the last time I've used my brain. I'd be joking about how I feel like the days pass so slowly because I don't have much to do. But it was also kind of up my fault because at the time I'd grown so much that I could do the task that came up much quicker than they were assigned. So if it was like, oh, this will take me a few weeks, I could probably get it done in a few days. But then I wouldn't tell anybody that I got it done in a few days. And at the time, I had no side hustle. I'm a single woman, no kids. So nothing else is really taking my time. Like for the amount of time you spend doing work, I didn't really have anything else that I was doing. So I just felt like my mind was so dormant for a lot of time. And I was starting to it was starting to irritate me. And there's just like little things, anything that anybody does, like, I'm so tired of this company. So I found myself, so that was how I, got the motivation to line up these interviews. And then once I started getting into the process, I took some time off work just to do some interviewing, to do some of the interviews and to prepare for the interviews. And while I was studying and just realizing, wow, this is what I'm in. Because I'd never interviewed really for a full-time job. Remember, the job I got straight from university and I got the offer. So this was my first foray into interviewing proper. And I was like, Heavenly Father, what have I got myself into? And I feel like that was, because I was getting overwhelmed, that was when I started to go to God. And that was when I realized what a mistake I had made and how I should have started this with God. I should have been like, God, is this time for me to leave? Where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? I think I started it off just from, this is what I want. I've made this, brilliant decision that every 3 years I would look for different companies. And I'm so unsatisfied with my work. And I had all these complaints and all these things. But never once did I bring it to God. Never once did I talk to God about this thing before I actually started. But here I am in the midst of this. I should have said, God, I'm so sorry. Please just direct my path. And he did that now, like a million times over. To start off, when I started interviewing. My dream company was Google because, it's Google. Even my grandma knows what Google is. I don't have to keep, because my old company was PagerDuty. Every time somebody asks me, where do you work? I say PagerDuty. They were like, Pager what? Is it paper? My mommy calls it PagerDuty. I was like, what? And then I have to explain what it is. And I was like, God, if I work at Google, all I say is I work at Google. I don't have to finish it. People already know. They know. I put it on my resume, and it's like, it gives me that credibility. It gives me the validation that I had been wanting for such a long time, interviewing at so many different companies as a student, as an intern. My first year looking for an internship, I think I applied for like over 200 jobs. And I was very grateful when Ontario Ministry of Environment called me back. But I know other people who got, they got cool interviews at at Google, at Facebook, at Meta, and I know it set them up for their next internships. It was so easy for them to interview. And I was like, am I not good enough? Like, I just want to know that like I'm good enough for this big company. And so I struggled with that through my undergrad years. And then I feel like God taught me a lesson, and I became okay with it. But there was that.
Do you want to talk more about that?
The first time, I think it was my third year. The first time I got an interview with a big company. Actually, I got a few. I had Yahoo, Microsoft, and Facebook at the time, and I was so ecstatic. I said, the God that brought me to this will bring me through it. Say, my God has prepared a way. My God that can do immeasurably abundantly more than I can think of or imagine. I was quoting Bible verses. I said, I have such a strong faith. I'm not even joking. I said, I'm ready. I studied so hard, but I didn't make it.
Oh no.
I remember I didn't make it to the second round for any of them, and I was just like, how? Like, I went over and over, and these are companies that they will tell you they don't have quota for interns. They say if we like you, we hire you. It's not as if they have like 10 slots they were trying to fill. This is pre-COVID era. They just say if you like you, we hire you. I said, bet. I said, I just have to make sure I pass
the test.
And I was like, how? It shook me. I think what shook me so much is because I came so far, and because I felt like I had so much faith in God. Like, I was praying every day. I was like, I felt so assured. The fact that I'd come this way, surely it's my turn to make money, so I can contribute more to my school fees now. It's not, I pay international fees. It's not cheap. So I was like, God, please now do it for your girl. I couldn't believe it, and I was so heartbroken. I was like, God, why now? Why would you bring me all the way here and then leave me?
Did you ever imagine that do you ever imagine that you were not ready, and God knows that you're not ready and doesn't want to put you in that situation until you're ready?
100%. I realized that after. At the time, I didn't realize it. At the time, I was so angry. I was so angry. I was like, you said I should have faith. You said faith of a mustard seed can move mountains. So how about this?
Yeah.
And I felt like the kind of money I would earn, the kind of I felt like it would mean so much to me. It would change my life, really. And I was just like, and I worked so hard, because before school even started, like from my previous internship, I had already been preparing and studying, because I know that once school starts, I only have a few weeks before I need to start applying for jobs, so I can lock in the next internship. So I need to do an internship to pass the co-op term. And I had been preparing for this steadily, faithfully. And I was like, okay, maybe before I was like, this is the most hardworking I've been to secure an internship. I tailored my resume, but I spent so much time. I made a whole new website with all my projects. I felt like I put so much effort, so much, discipline, so much faith as well. And I was like, okay, well, I've done all this thing with formula now. It's just you to just bring the remaining results. Wow. And then God was like, no. I think he realized how much I was seeking validation. And I think he wanted me to learn. What I learned from it is that my identity is in God and God alone. It's not in... Because there are sometimes I realize, my identity is not in the fact that I can pass this exam, but I haven't learned the fact that my identity is not in the fact that I can secure this big company. Yeah. So I feel like it was like, small by small, I'm going to show you that none of these are important. And in due time, I did get an internship that was in Silicon Valley, which was nice, but it was not, by that time, I think I'd already come to peace with the fact that, like, just because I don't get any of these big companies, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean that I'm less of. It doesn't mean that I'm not as brilliant. It doesn't mean any of those things.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's actually very, very good. That resonated with me, because most times people put their identity in what they do. And then when your identity is what they do, not who you are or who God says you are, then when that thing that you do fails, or when that thing that you do don't work out, then you feel like you are a failure. But the God that created you as a person did not create a failure. He created you in such a way that you would align with what he wants for you. So in that situation where you are thinking, this is me, and to be honest with you, that is something that can be scary sometimes for people. When they say, I've done all I can do, and then you still failed, and then you're not like, wait, God, I did everything I can do humanly possible, because most people will say, do your best and leave the rest to God. I did my best, humanly possible, and I left the rest to you, faithfully.
Yeah, and I know that you said that there's nothing that you cannot do. So that means that
Exactly.
you don't want to do this. So why would you not want to do this?
Another lesson I've learned from that is that even God, the just shall live by faith. I feel like when God wants us to walk by faith, we are very result oriented as humans. We always feel that the result has to be this. Maybe I prayed for healing and I have to get healing. I feel like God answers prayers in different ways.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might not get that's what you wanted, but you got growth, your attitude changed, and that is that kind of growth that God is actually looking at.
And that's part of the thing that the pastor was saying in church today, that you get what you get in the either for the season you are or for the next season. Now, whatever the outbreak you had from then, from you not getting those internships or the co-ops, made you look back into yourself and reevaluate yourself, and then gave you the knowledge or the mindset to know that, okay, my identity is not in whatever company I'm working or whatever job I'm doing. My identity is who I am, who God says I am. In that situation, you've prepared your mind for the next season. So the next season might be, honestly, I'm not saying that was going to happen. You don't know, maybe if you had gotten a big job in those big companies, you don't have grown the way you would have. You did, because you had time to grow as a person in your career. Why you have supportive people around you. So it built you to where you are, and that means the season which you were in before prepared you for the season where you are. 100%. So if you've associated that season as failure and you associated yourself as failure because of that season, or the fact that you didn't get through in that season, then you just see yourself as failure. And then by the time God is ready for you to give you something for the next season, you will not see it because you only see the failure of the past season.
100%. I think it took me a while, to be honest. I thought that I could also ping God, so I was like, I'm not reading my Bible. But eventually I realized that
God is like,
because I was like, I don't mind growth, but do I have to go through pain to grow? And I realize now that a lot of growth comes from pain. Adversity comes from pain. It's just the life that we are living. So anyways, fast forward to when I was about to leave this company, or when I was interviewing at these other places, and all of these in my mind were big companies. You know, Cash App is owned by Square, who's Block now. There's Google, and then there's Stripe. All of these in my mind are like, wow, these are big companies. And so I was like, okay, I was feeling the pressure to do a good job. And so I really carried God along with me. I said, God, I'm sorry I did not bring you into this situation in the very beginning, but I'm here now. I don't want to make a mistake. Please, please, please give me wisdom. I was praying that, and at some point I fasted as well. I was just like, I only want to go where you want me to go. And at the time, you know, Google is still my number one, even though I had tried many a time in uni to get an internship there, and I failed. I knew I would be fine if I didn't get the job, but it was still like, it would be a nice testimony, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I want to be a nice testimony. I was like, it would be nice if, like, okay, I've gone through all of these and now I can get the job. But then there was Stripe, and I hadn't planned to even interview there. But my goodness, my recruiter was super sweet. He made the entire process so enjoyable. And I didn't realize I could enjoy an interview process like this. Even the kind of interview questions that they had is typically like an exam. And Google's is very rigid. It's like, okay, you have to solve this. Do it. It's very straightforward. You know that you're coming to do a programming interview, and the final round consists of like 5 interviews. 4 of them are technical, 1 of them is like behavioral. And for Stripe, I had I think I only had like 2 technical. Then there was like 1 bug bash, 1 integration, 1 system design, and then 1 behavioral. So they had like 6 different aspects. So it was like 6 hours. It was a long time, but I felt like it was more diverse and was more enjoyable and easier to prepare for. So it was just like the difference between the preparation of the two of them was vast. My recruiter on Google at the end was nowhere as sweet as the Stripe recruiter. So already from the beginning, it just felt like the place that I did not plan to apply for, the experience is so much nicer. It's just flowing better. Whereas Google was a bit choppy. And then we did the interview. I didn't even forget. Then there was Cash App, but they're not really as relevant in this story. We'll continue focusing on Google and Stripe. So they were actually the first people I interviewed with, but it wasn't as great of an experience either. So I got to Google's final round. I did everything. They gave me the offer. I said,
finally.
I believe I was so happy. I said, okay, so now it comes to, negotiation. And I'd read books. I'd watched so many YouTube videos. Because I remember I was at a book club in my last company, and one of the people there, she worked in HR, and she was talking about she can't respect anybody that doesn't negotiate. The way she said it so casually, as we were having small chat before we were about to discuss the book we were reading, I said, wow, she definitely cannot respect me then, because I did zero negotiation. So I said, okay. And she said something about how the first number a company gives you is what they can afford to get away with. I said, how? Yeah. Good to know. I'm going to try my best this time around to negotiate. Before we even got there, I read the offer letter, and I listened to the offer. They told it to me verbally, and it was for a position that I didn't want. It was for a level, sorry. So at the time, I was close to, I was preparing to get a promotion to a senior engineer. The level that they put me would take me potentially another 4 years to get to a senior engineer. So I said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I do not want this level. I'm not going to this level. I started researching. I looked online, looked on Reddit. Everybody was talking about how Google is notorious for down-leveling people. But I said, no, it's not possible. So the recruiter was like, okay, the only way she can go back to the hiring committee and get me a higher level is if an engineering manager vouches for me. And so she had put me on, she set me a call with one of the potential teams I would join. And I spoke to this manager. This guy was in Switzerland, so it was a big time difference. And it was just like a casual call. And I was like, okay, hopefully he didn't say anything at the end of the call. So I was just like, hopefully it will come through. Like, he will say and agree that I'm the right level. Now, while that is happening, Stripe is also happening. I finished their rounds. They get back to me. They give me the offer. And the level was right. Everything was making sense. Before the call with the recruiter, I had done my own research, and I looked online. Okay, this is how much they are offering people in Canada. It's very hard to find some Canadian stats, especially in tech. A lot of it is saturated with like US stats. So I found some. I spoke to some people I know who are working there. So this is how much they had. One of them was my friend that had referred me, and he said, these people are not going to negotiate. Don't even try. He even had a higher offer, but they didn't negotiate. So I said, okay, good to know. So I opened my notebook. I put down what he said for his compensation. And I looked at the number and I was like, if I can get that,
you'll be fine.
More than fine. I'll be so happy. But I said, okay, let me now write. So this is what this person is making. This is my hope. My hope, I just added Jara to it, just a little bit more. Then the phone call, because they sent me an email first to let me know that they're everything went well, they're happy to move forward, and then they gave me a call to chat to them more. And it was during the call, this guy, it said it was my hope, which was more than what my friend was making. That would have already made me happy. It was more than that. Gosh. And I was like,
No way.
I was shook. And then he was like, yeah, so what are your thoughts? So I just said, I was literally, I had to put myself on mute. It wasn't a video call, thankfully. It was a regular phone call. I put myself on mute and I was just like, and then I turned it up back on and I was like, yeah, so thank you so much. I'm just going to take some time to, do some comparisons and comparisons and then come back to you. And I was like, okay, great. Have a great day. Have a great day. And I ran to meet my sister and we just screamed together. We screamed and screamed. I was like, how is this possible? No way. It was almost double what my current company was paying me. And so all of that happened now with Stripe, right? And then I get from Google that they are not going to pay me. Oh, sorry, they are not giving me the level that I wanted. And I talked to this engineering manager and I was like, God, okay, I know that. So every day I'm praying to God, right? Because I said, God, you're my paddy, you're my pal through this. Now I've learned my lesson. I'm going to be holding you through this walk. And then and I was like, okay, God. So I feel like if this is how I'm talking to God, just because we're pals. So yeah, so God, I feel like if they come back and they say that they're going to give me the level I want, so it's Google, innit? It's Google I'm going to go with, because I feel like there's the kind of testimony you want me to be saying. So I felt like, okay, cool. Let's shake on it. Great. Okay, sounds good. I follow-up call. The recruiter says, great news. The engineering manager, not only did he agree that I was the right level, he wrote a letter.
Whoa.
He wrote a letter of recommendation for me saying that hiring committee should move my level up.
Whoa.
Hiring committee said what? No.
Oh.
I said, what? I said, what? I have to reevaluate now. What's going on? Then the next thing with Google was the team. So I didn't want, we have to do team matching. So the way Google works, they don't just hire you for a particular team. They get you through the process and you're like, okay, you're a correct person. You have the skills to be an engineer. Now, out of all the different orgs in Google looking for jobs, we'll now try to place you. And that can take weeks. They kept giving me calls with hiring managers. So all of this is happening simultaneously. Sorry, I'm not the best storyteller.
No, it's
they
okay.
kept giving me calls with all these different hiring managers. And the teams are all infrastructure. I said, I don't want infrastructure. How many times do I have to tell you? From the beginning of this interview process, I've been telling you that this is not my calling. This is not my path. I don't want this. I don't have any transferable skills for this type of work. I don't want to do this. It just was not happening. It felt like for me to get a team that was not in the infra side, it's going to take me a long time. It's going to take weeks. And there's no guarantee. So that was already another one falling my hand. Meanwhile, Stripe is happening still. I go back to Stripe. I said, gotta negotiate in it. So I said, okay, even just to practice, because I mean, I already got offer with Google, so this one is just practice. Wow. So I was like, hi. So I went back. I'm really. So first of all, just thank you so much for this lovely experience so far. I've had such a great time interviewing with you, and I'm really happy to hear that you guys were moving forward with me as a candidate. I just I took some of the numbers you said, and after thinking through it, I would just like to increase my total compensation to this amount. So you can either increase this or increase this or increase that. My preference would be to increase this to this level, increase this to this level, and increase this to this level. And he was like, okay, let me think about that and get back to you. So I told God, I said, I bet you Stripe is not going to increase the pay, so it's still Google. I have to find a way to make Google work.
Wow.
And so all this time we're doing the team matching thing. So I was like, okay, let's talk about numbers with Google. Like, they didn't want to tell me. And one thing I've learned through this interview process is you cannot be the first person to say the number is the loser in this silent match that we're having. So I'd go, okay, so can you please share with me the range for this role? Like, oh no, but what are your expectations? I said, I don't want to share my expectations. Tell me the range. I'm not telling you nothing. Obviously, I didn't talk to her like this, but I was like, no, I'm more curious, what is the range for the role? Like, what are the other, like, she's like, oh, it depends. And I was like, okay, can you just share with me the last few offers you've given out for this role? What was the range like? And she's like, what are your expectations really? Are you worried that we're not going to be able to pay? And I'm like, I just want to know the range. So it was a lot of very polite back and forth to even find out like what was the number they're going to give me. And eventually they gave me the number. And I said, you must be joking. Are you on Google? No, you are joking. You're really joking. You're really, really joking. It's giving like my next promotion cycle as my current job.
Right.
Like, I feel like people always say when you move jobs, that's your big opportunity to jump.
Yeah.
This is not giving jump. This is giving skip. It's not even giving skip. It's giving... I don't know what it's giving. I was just like, this
a little step.
Yeah, this is not making sense. So I was like, I was expecting significantly more. Is there any room for like negotiation here? Like, how much can you can you increase this? Can you increase this? And she kept being like, oh no, it's fixed. We can't do this. And I was like, okay, well, these are the competing offers I had. By that time, I had my offer from Cash App as well. I said, so you can see that here is the email with you can see the domain name from the email. You know that I'm not making this up. This is what these companies are offering me. Please actually I only sent the Stripe one because Cash App was also lower than Stripe. So I said, sort yourself out. So I was like, Heavenly Father, I really want to work at Google, but now they're not giving me the level I want. They're not giving me the team I want, and they're not giving me anything really with the pay and the compensation package. Meanwhile, Stripe has come back. They said, yeah, we're going to give you this. We're going to increase this. We're going to increase this. We're going to increase that. And we will top in with the signing bonus. I said, Heavenly Father. And I was just like, I'm really trying. I was like, okay, God, if they come back with this, then I know that it's Google. But it just felt like everything I kept going back day to day. Okay, what if they get in this team, they will not come back with the next day? It will be like, I booked another interview with, and it's, guess what? Infrastructure. Oh my God. And it's like, okay, maybe the next day, if they come back and they say that they're going to pay me even just slightly more, or even give me like more Google stock. Google stock is not bad. They said they'll come back. Literally right after I finished praying, I want to open my email. Sorry, we can't do it.
Oh my gosh.
And so it just felt like everything I was praying, I said, okay, they'll give me the level. And then the guy actually sent me a letter. I felt like it was promising. He wrote a letter for me. They still said no. So it just felt like every avenue with Google, everything I was praying for, like, I'm not really a person to pray for signs. But I honestly, like, if I go back and read my journal, it's probably, that's probably what I was like, okay, if they do this, God, and I know it's Google, blocked. If they come back with this, I know it's Google to go with, blocked. If they come back, so I felt like every avenue with Google.
God is so patient.
Honestly,
he just closed it.
Because at some point you have to ask yourself that God will look. Okay, my daughter, what else do you want from me? I've blocked this thing. I've given you better offer here. I've done this, but you still want this.
Literally,
yeah. So
and
sorry.
What are you gonna say?
That is something about us humans, right? God tries to show us the path we are meant to go, and then sometimes we don't want to go on that path. We want to go on the path that we choose. We have this mindset of what we want to achieve,
how we want it to look.
Yeah.
And then when we have that mindset, we don't want to change it. If God is saying that's not where you're not supposed to, that's not where you're supposed to be. I have a great plan for you right here. My plan is not for you going here. My plan is for you going here. And then we find it hard to go
to separate ourselves
from God's plan, for our plan, because we already have a plan ahead.
Yeah.
But God is also a forgiving God.
He's so merciful.
Yeah. So he's someone that will say, okay, even though you don't want this, I will still nudge you to where you are supposed to be.
God is so faithful.
No, honestly, it was like magic. Literally, it was so clear looking back. Even Cash App, the first people I interviewed with, the recruiter became sick, and somebody was supposed to take over my case. That person did not take over my case, so it wasn't really until the very, very end that I actually got the real numbers, the offer, and everything. And that was already like after the Google and Stripe battle had already happened. So it was like God just took them out of the game. I was like, don't worry about this one, because for weeks I didn't hear from them. I kept emailing the recruiter, and I was like, hello, hi, I haven't heard back, like, what's going on?
Could it also be, now that you said it, that God intentionally put those two organizations together for you to actually decide and see for yourself? You know, God could have shut it down and you never get an interview, but I feel like He probably just brought it to you so that you can see that I can do this for you if I want to, but this is not for you.
Yeah, I think so too. I think looking back, I'd never really had, I think until maybe like my last internship, I never really had competing offer. I had, thank God, there's offer, and I've taken it. This was my very first experience having not just one, but multiple offers. And I think that was really God just being like, here you go, like, whatever you want, I can give you, and I can give you in abundance. And I felt like from the little girl who had felt so broken because she didn't get that validation to the young lady who was looking for, switching a role, and God was like, all of these are big companies and I will give you all offers. I had, like, there was no, we don't want you, but we'll come back. Like, everybody was like, here you go. And it made me cry, like, and I might even cry talking about it now, because I just thought about myself, all those, tens and tens of applications, all those. I was just like, I can't believe I was just hoping to get one offer, and not only did I not just get one, I got 3. Not only did I just get an offer from Stripe, but they kept negotiating. When they came back with the final numbers, they said, does that work for you? I said, I took a screenshot. I said to my friend, what am I supposed to respond to this? Does this work for me? What do you mean, does it work for me? Of course it works for me. And he was just like, it was just like, I felt like God was talking to me. I can give you more even. And with Google, it was like, this is the place you've always wanted to work at. And I feel like in my head, I thought the testimony was the fact that, like, now I finally have the job. But I feel like the testimony is the fact that, like, I got it and I didn't even want it.
Yes.
It's like it finally came, and it's like it didn't match the things that I wanted, the role, the level I wanted, the team I wanted, the pay I wanted, and it was just like, it doesn't serve me anymore. Something that I had put on such a pedestal.
That is God showing up. Because think about it though. That is one thing that you wanted for so long. You wanted getting the Google job, you wanted getting the Facebook job or the Meta job, and you wanted it for so long that you put them on a pedestal. And God is telling you that they are not. They are big companies, but they are not. They are not the level that you are supposed to be. You are supposed to be on a different level. You are supposed to be on God's pedestal. He has put you on a particular pedestal for that He has made you to be. But now putting yourself on the pedestal of them, nah. No, and God just showed you that, my dear, that's not it. That's no. You have your own. This is the level you think you can rise to. This is the amount of money you think you can get. This is the company you think I have a plan for you.
Yeah.
And that is where good God, a strong God comes in, because a strong God will show you that no matter what we, man, are trying to do with our own weaknesses, because let's be honest, it's your weakness as human. And it's your weakness as human that say, I want that job, and that is the job I want. But the strong God will always tell you that, okay, you can get the job, but that's not what I want for you.
100%. At some point, the total compensation Stripe was giving me was almost like double what Google had offered me, and I was still prepared to say no, because it had me in a strong good. And as I said, it's Google. If they come correct with these things, I will still say yes. And God said, I see. let me block it for you. No, it completely shook me so much. And I was just like, I felt so I just like, who am I? Like, how do I even have an offer from this place, let alone like the fact that like I can keep going. When they say, does that work for me? I'd be like, yeah, those numbers work. Because I was like, I didn't even know. It took me like at least 2 hours to just write, yeah, that works for me. So I was like, how can you ask me what works for me when you are giving me beyond my wildest dreams? And when I say beyond, I really mean beyond. I didn't know anybody around me that had any experience like that. The person that referred me to the job said that they don't negotiate. His salary was not even close to what I was getting for the same level.
Wow.
I wasn't even going to apply to this job. He referred me. The recruiter was so nice. The experience was so smooth. The interview slots that they had were like diverse and varied and was enjoyable. Then like everything after has also been going so smooth. And I was just like, how? So it felt, at the end of the day, I felt like it felt very clear to me that this is what God wanted me to choose. I had been praying through it all, and I just felt like I was kind of fighting it. I was like, but Google. And I had to be like, I have to let it go. I don't think this is the job for me. So I realized, okay, I think God, everything is pointing me towards Stripe. Like the experience, there's no confusion. If you just put it on paper, pros and cons, it felt like there was no comparison really. I just felt very clear, and I felt very much at peace with the fact that like, I guess I'm not a Googler, but I'm a Stripe girly.
Wow.
And then the next battle was, now I finished this process. I think I have a winner. But my current job, I think applying myself so much in the interview process, studying, and made me realize how much I had become complacent in my role. And then I started thinking about the fact that maybe I didn't give my job as much of a good try as it deserved. Like, because I started complaining, I'm not being stimulated. And then I started to think, was I really not being stimulated? Was I choosing not to push myself? Just because I can get this job done now this task done now in a few days versus a few weeks, doesn't mean that I couldn't have done more in my free time. Wow. I could have kept pushing myself. And so, I was just like, maybe this was still not the right decision. Maybe I should still stay at this company. And the biggest worries I had was my boss. I felt so blessed to have a good boss. I was surrounded by so many stories of bad bosses. I knew people that were doing therapy because of the wahala their boss was putting them through. And I was just like, I don't relate. My boss that went to help fight for me to get retroactive pay for almost a year. Like, not many people can say that. And so I was like, I don't want to lose my boss. Number one. Number two, I was hoping to be promoted in the next performance cycle. And my boss had already assigned me to this big project that was coming up. And I was like, this project would be really great to have, just to have on my resume or my repertoire before I leave the company. So I was like, this would be a good opportunity for me to like apply myself, to do more, to show my leadership skills, to just like, it was a next level kind of thing. And I remember when I just kept praying and praying about it, and I felt like I would be so worried. I pray about it and I feel so at peace. I'd be so worried. I pray about it and I feel so at peace. And I was reading my Bible. I'd been reading like the Bible. I was doing the Bible plan in a year, and I was still in the Old Testament. But I felt like I'd read passages and then just see how God is steady and like comes through. And I felt like a lot of the reasons I had for leaving the company was fear. And I felt like God kept reminding me that I had not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. Regardless of whatever decision I make, the most important is that I'm still with God. Wherever I go, whatever I want. And my God is a God of choice. And that's something I had to realize. He's a God of free will. Which means he's a God that will always give me multiple options. And multiple good options, right? And I can choose any option. It does not, like, I'm not going to, it's not because I left this job I'm not going to suffer for the rest of my life. It's not that deep. And there's better out there. Good. And I think once I saw the experience I had with Stripe, the compensation package, all of that made me start to believe that, oh wow, there really is better out there. And so I was like, if I can get better more than I can imagine when it comes to finances, then think about maybe I could get better more than what I can imagine in terms of, you know, work culture, work dynamic, like, or even just like the kind of work, the kind of stimulation I want, the kind of challenges I want. Sorry. So I started to feel more at peace, just knowing that, like, okay, wherever I go, God is with me, and as long as me and Him are together, I'm good. So I was like, okay, I think I'm deciding to go with Stripe, and I feel like you're gonna be with me in this company. So I had a one-on-one with my boss. I was okay, I think I'm going to quit, but how do I quit? I never quit a job before. I'd had internships, but it's for a set period, 4 months. They already know I'm leaving. And so I was like, okay, I don't know. Do I start, like, who do I give my resignation letter to? All I know is I have to give 2 weeks notice, but I didn't know.
That is actually interesting.
how to resign. So I was like, okay, I think first things first, I have to tell my boss, because, you know, he and I had been working towards getting me promoted in the next cycle. So I feel like he should know. Also, the last meeting beforehand with the team, we were talking about, you know, yeah, this is what we can be doing better. This is what we're going to be doing. And I felt like I was just lying. Yeah, I know that I want to leave. I'm acting like as if I'm still going to be here in 3 months, 4 months time. So I was like, hey, I know we don't have any meetings scheduled for today, but can we have like a quick one-on-one? And we jumped on a call, and I told him that I've been looking to other places, and I think, yeah, like, I want to leave, but I don't know what to do. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it, just leave it to me. And he was like, he had a feeling. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah. Like, I stopped being as hyper as I usually am in calls. And it's just like, honestly, he told me that this is the best decision for me. Because 2 years before, 2020, we had been looking into getting me into a different team. Not because I wanted to move, but because the direction my team was going, he didn't feel like was beneficial to the kind of goals I wanted. But that didn't work out. And he was like, don't tell anybody, but he won't be our manager for long either. I was like, wait, what? You're leaving? And he was like, yeah, they're moving him to a different team. And I was like, wow. That was one of the biggest things for me not wanting to leave this company, is the fact that, like, I didn't want to lose my boss.
But he was just going to leave.
And he was going to leave in like a month. And I was imagining that I'd quit the job, and then my boss, so literally. And then the second thing was the work I wanted to do. And he was like, yeah, our entire team mandate is being scrapped. They're going to move us to become more of an integrations team. So this project is not going to happen. I was like, what do you mean? So I was like, and I don't want to do anything integrations related. So I was like, wow. And he was like, he was actually going to suggest it to me, not now, but like later. And so, yeah, he thinks this is the best timing for me. This is the best. And just to hear him say all the things that I was so worried about, in just a span of 30 minutes, he knocked it all down. And I left that meeting feeling like, wow, God, I'm really in your hands. I'm really your baby girl, for real.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Yeah. That was really amazing.
Honestly, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons.
Honestly, because that's the thing that most people don't realize. We have this fear in our hearts that, oh, I want to do this thing, we want to do this, and then what if we do this and it doesn't work out the way we want? But the moment we put God in charge of everything, it just
works out.
It works out. Mm-hmm. It works out even more than we imagine, right? That's the same thing we're saying about when we're like trying to get married, when we're getting married, the wedding and the planning and everything. At some point, it felt we were scared, but then we just put everything into God's hands the way you did, and then everything that was scary for us just worked itself out. And then at that point, you just wonder that, wow, I mean, why were we even worried? Why were you worried?
Yeah, no.
But I am sure that prepared you for the next season.
Yeah.
Because now, in the new job now, you will do the job with so much confidence because now God knows that I want to be here.
God me here.
Yeah, it's like you won't have fear that, oh, can I work in this kind of company? Or, oh, they are paying me this amount of money. Can I, am I worth this? What can I do to, no. Because at that point, you know that, this is not you. This is not your doing. It's not, because God literally paved ways, you know, remove obstacles and pave ways for you to actually get to where you're supposed to be.
100%. And I think, like, I prayed so much for clarity, and He gave me clarity. And then it gave me clarity on, like, okay, which company to choose. And then the where I was left with, oh, I don't know if I have this clarity of leaving my job versus staying. He gave me the trust that I needed to trust in Him. And then I felt like once I'd be like, okay, God, I'm going to go with this. And He was like, okay, well, here now you can see why. Like, it was kind of like you decided to go with God, and now you can see this is the benefits. This is the clarity. So I still struggle in lots of different ways in life, praying for like clarity on what to do, what do I do next, what do I do where I am now, how do I show up for this person, how do I do these things. But I think that experience has taught me to take things a step at a time and to make sure that God is involved in every little moment of it. Because I think back and I'm like, if I had started this process with God, how much better would it have possibly been?
Yeah. So that is the goal of a podcast, to encourage people to depend on a strong God in any situation, no matter how tiny the situation is. You know, people look at, oh, this, I do that sometimes, that I want to do something as simple as maybe walk to the car, and I'm like, God, please let the elevator come on time. And then it might feel ridiculous that why do you need? But that's the thing. It's like, no matter how tiny, no matter how simple the thing is, when you depend on a strong God, you are assured that it's going to come for you. 100%. Honestly, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We learned a lot. So much wisdom.
Yeah,
wisdom. It was a lot of wisdom.
This is why we're like a celebrity now.
A
celebrity. Honestly,
thank you so much.
We really appreciate you. It's an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, and thank you all for listening and for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at StrongGodPod, and also send us an email. Yeah. StrongGodPod@gmail.com. We want to hear your comments. We want to, get feedback on this podcast. And also, do you want to share your Instagram handle, or it's private?
You can just pray for me. I collect prayers.
Pray for Seun.
She collects prayers.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right then. So
don't forget to share with your friends and feminists. That is feminists.
Frenemies.
Yes.
I'm crying. It's frenemies you're trying to say. I thought you were going to say feminists. No. I was like, that's so specific.
Feminists.
No, frenemies.
Frenemies.
Okay.
Anyway, your friends, family, co-workers, colleagues, please share, and subscribe.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pray for Wura and Dimeji as well. They're doing the Lord's work on this podcast.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Have a lovely one. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I hope this episode encourages you to lean on a strong God. Remember to share this episode with your friends and family. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at StrongGodPod, or you can also send an email to us at StrongGodPod@gmail.com. Thank you.